Hey guys, Dylan here, and we got Danny in Dumbsville, and we are going to be doing Club Spin. I don't remember which episode this is. We've been doing this a lot. So, how are you guys?
Uh, Smoking weed and trying to bleed.
The silence then, nah, we're all dead inside.
That's what happens after the pandemic.
During.
For me, it's about after. A lot of places are opening up finally.
The pandemic cycle, everything opens up, then it closes again, then it opens up again.
Speaking of cycles, we are covering the Sonic cycle today. And for those of you guys who don't know anything about the Sonic cycle, it's basically where a game is announced, the info is released about the game, people hype it up, more speculation is released, people continue to hype it up, then it comes out and it's disappointed. It disappoints everybody. That can be said for Sonic media, Sonic video games, whatever you want to go with. People have claimed that it's with the comics, it's with the cartoons, it's with the games. People have used this as like a big scapegoat for years. People blamed it with Lost World, Forces, Sonic Boom. This has been a prevalent thing that people have used to explain why everyone is disappointed with Sonic. How do you guys feel about the concept of the Sonic cycle?
I think it only exists in certain circumstances, in my opinion, from what I've seen.
Okay, how do you feel about it, Dumbsville, as a concept?
I think that it's basically like one big kind of overblown meme. It's based on a lot of overgeneralizations and also doesn't accurately represent the entirety of the series. It's weird to go through my own cycle on what I think of the Sonic cycle. Sometimes I'm like, this is complete horseshit and negatively affects the franchise and the series. But then I'm also like, it's also kind of accurate at points. But I think that with Mania and Generations in Color specifically, and with games like Unleashed, I think that it can be misleading for how the franchise operates.
Okay, so for me, with the Sonic cycle, I feel like it really starts with information getting leaked from a distributor, or information getting leaked before Sega's willing to announce it. And then the fandom being what the fandom is, they like to speculate and clickbait. And this has been a problem for over 10 years now on YouTube and on independent websites, where people in the Sonic fandom who make money off of speculation will speculate about what the thing is going to be. And no matter what, if you trick a bunch of kids by speculating grand stuff, they're going to be disappointed when it's not as good as it is. Because let's just say the Sonic Adventure remakes were happening. And people are like, oh my god, I'm so hyped for this. I want it to be full HD. I want it to be new models. I want it to be new cutscenes, just like Crash Bandicoot. Because that's what people were speculating. That's what people were hyping up. And then it releases, and it's the same fucked audio. It's the same control style. It's just upscaled to be 4K. And released on all consoles. And a lot of people would be fine with that. A lot of people would be perfectly fine with that happening. But because people have hyped it up to be so good, a lot of people would be disappointed. And a lot of people would treat it far worse than it would have if we had normal expectations.
I think it's just kind of more of the general internet cycle, though, isn't it?
Well, you could make an argument about that, but today we're talking about the Sonic cycle in particular, because this is the most infamous of them all.
Yeah, I just feel like it's more of like a problem with general internet speculation culture. I think that's just kind of the way it goes. Yeah.
Well, now let's use one of the examples of something that happened with the Sonic cycle. When we first heard about Sonic Lost World, we had very little information about what was going on. A ton of people were speculating who would be playable in it, what gameplay style it would be, and eventually, when the game came out, a lot of people were disappointed. And I don't know if they were disappointed because of the hype, because there wasn't that much hype behind it, but I feel like they were really disappointed by the gameplay, at least with Sonic Lost World. I feel like even if people didn't cover the speculation, people still would have been disappointed by Lost World.
Oh, I could talk about this.
And go for it.
Because when it comes to Lost World, this was like actually a point when I lost interest in Sonic for me. Like, I just went away from it because I was kind of seeing how it was not that interesting at the time. But what I noticed was that it wasn't really the people, like the fans, hyping the game up. It felt more like Sega was hyping it up. Like, I went to this gaming expedition thing where they revealed a bunch of games early. And they were like hyping up the Deadly Six, like, oh, who are these interesting new characters with these weird silhouettes? And I just thought, I don't fucking care. They look weird. I don't give a shit about these new characters. I like older characters and shit. So Sega was trying to hype up a bunch of shit for this game. And I don't think, well, I didn't buy it personally. I don't know how anybody else reacted, but I think with that game, it just hyped itself up more than anything, compared to other games like, came later where the fans...
Very true. I guess we'll move on to the next game, which is Sonic Boom. With Sonic Boom, yet again, it was mostly Sega trying to hype this game up. They kept releasing things like the silhouettes, then eventually the gameplay and the actual character designs. And when it came to Sonic Boom, a lot of people were speculating the worst. And this is something that can happen with the Sonic cycle, is people immediately start tearing it apart. Every time it's shown, every time it's being presented, people see the worst in it and they'll shit on it immediately. But there was a new side of the fandom that popped up, and that was people who said, don't judge it till it's done. Don't judge it until you have it, or don't judge it till you play it. And these people were trying to dismiss a lot of people who were rightfully calling out things that were worth speculating about with Sonic Boom. Hell, they even used that argument with people who played the demo. So I don't know what the fuck was up with that. How do you feel about people saying you're not allowed to critique it until it's a finished product? How do you feel about that?
Oh no, I think I'm one of those people.
I think that's like, I don't want to say it's necessarily completely wrong because it can be valid at points, but I do think that it is a very dumb argument to have. I think that to not be the thing is, like, gaming culture in general, gaming businesses are just full of bullshit and lies, like, all the time. It happens. It's very frequent, and people that call it out should have the right to call it out. And I think that with Sonic Boom in particular, it's a weird case of irony where people are like, oh, don't judge it till it comes out, and then it comes out, it's a piece of shit. Like, people have a right to be concerned when a game is doing wrong, and a lot of times people don't understand that when people do call out a game for being bad, they like to be proven wrong, and the game's actually phenomenal, you know?
Okay, now we can move on to Sonic Forces. With Sonic Forces, Sega released very little info about this game. They showed off the villain, they teased the villain, they had a lot of ARG shit to try to figure out who the villain is gonna be, what their backstory is and shit. And they showed a trailer for the game, and that was it. When it came to Sonic Forces, this was where the modern Sonic tubers stepped in. This is where Sonic tubers, me included, made theory videos hyping up the game, hyping up the plot. A lot of people made speculation videos every time anything was released. I shit you not. If Twip still has it up, if Premi still has it up, every time a level was shown off, every time any info was released, there'd be another Sonic Forces video. There was so many Sonic Forces videos where people were speculating it and people were hyping it up. And you can see as the videos keep on going, they hyped it up so much in their head that at a point, they just started to realize that the hype was not there. And you just see how depressing it gets for them as they keep on going and making more videos where they're like, I think this might be shit. I think this might be bad. And you can see the Sonic cycle in effect there, that these Sonic tubers were so hyped, and they saw that the people who worked on Colors and Generations were supposedly involved, and they built this game up to be something that could never please them, that could never satisfy them. And you see that disappointment when they realize it's just an average game. How did you guys feel about Sonic Forces, how everything was handled with it?
I would definitely say when it came to Sonic Forces, that's the prime example of the Sonic cycle, in my opinion, because like all Sega did really was like they released a trailer, they released a few gameplay clips like of boss fights and stuff, and they released Infinite Song, I think, to like up the tone a little bit. So they kind of hyped it up a bit, but more on a reasonable level, while the fans just ate that shit up and just like crapped it out 10 times bigger, basically. Like, everyone was trying to make theories about what this game was. Everyone was trying to theorize who the villain was, and it just got so out of hand, and I really do think it was the fans who did that more than Sega themselves.
I would kind of disagree. I do think the fans did create an artificial sort of hype for the game. But I also think that Sega did keep a lot of things hidden intentionally, and also try to make the game sound bigger than it was. Because when the game was coming out, I remember Iizuka was all like, "This is a story where what did Sonic do while he was while the world was being taken over by Eggman?" And just that was never an explored topic. So there were like implications that the game was way bigger than it actually was. And I think Sega is partially to blame. Fans will always, I think, hype things up to a very massive level. I once again, I do think a lot of the clickbait did sort of enable it, but I also think that Sega should be to blame for making the game much bigger than it actually is, and not really being honest about how cheap the game was.
Okay, I guess now we can switch to the Sonic movie. With the Sonic movie, every time we got any bit of information, people would speculate about it, people would talk about it. And this time I think this is the Sonic effect at its best, if it was to be used for positive means. Because this time people hyping it up and people shitting on it made the director end up changing the look of Sonic. It ended up making them realize that they needed to change how the Sonic movie was going. But then again, on the opposite side of that coin, people did go into the movie expecting too much. A lot of people were disappointed by the Sonic movie, and a lot of people, after their reviews were out and then reflecting on it a few months later, they realized that it was just another movie. It was just another kids' film. It was your Alvin and the Chipmunks type movie. And I had those expectations going into it. I told people to lower their expectations. You can watch the club spins we did a year ago, where I was like, go into this with low expectations. This is a kid's film. That's what it's going to be. And that's what it was. And I feel like too many people expected an epic video game adventure when it's just Sonic. It's just a Sonic movie where he goes to the real world.
Ooh, can I say something here, actually? Oh,
go for it.
So do you know, like, earlier we were talking about Sonic Boom and how, like, those fans came along saying, like, oh, don't judge something when it comes out, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if that was the attitude everyone had to go.
Some people did. Some people did. Some people wanted some people wanted the ugly man-hog Sonic design to stay.
Didn't I do a video defending it? Oh god. Okay, ignoring that. But yeah, I mean, if everyone was doing that, though, if every single person was like, oh, just leave it, it'll be fine. Like, imagine what that Sonic movie would have been like. I think it was actually good that people were like, nah, fam, that's not okay.
I think with that one, I think with the Sonic movie in particular, it shows both the good and bads of people constantly speculating on something and constantly hyping it up. The bad is that you end up expecting something more than what the product can give you. You expect an experience when you're getting a movie. And when it comes to the good, you can get the people in charge to hopefully listen to you and hopefully fix the things that you have problems with. Dumbsville, do you have anything to say about the Sonic movie in particular?
I was in a weird position because even when the redesign happened, I was still not excited for the movie. So I think there's a lot of like for Sonic and a few other franchises, I feel like the appeal, people tend to overhype how good it actually is, but I think the appeal of something like the Sonic movie is, hey, this is better than it should be for the genre it's in. And people take that and are like, well, the movie's actually a masterpiece then. No, not really. But I was in a weird position where even after the redesign, I wasn't too excited for the movie, and I knew I would probably hate it, but I ended up liking it. So I think in this case, the Sonic cycle did help, but it did help create a better film overall, and I'm happy with the product we got. But I do feel like it's not exactly the Sonic cycle per se, it's more like a reverse Sonic cycle.
Yeah. And the Sonic cycle is such a non-existing thing that it can apply to pretty much anything that the fandom latches onto and speculates with and hypes up. Like, it's very loose. It's literally company releases information, people speculate and hype it up, people are disappointed. And that can be applied to pretty much anything that's been Sonic lately, because it's either been average or shit. So, I think the Sonic cycle can apply to all of these, or it could not apply, depending on how you see it yourself. I think another thing that would go for the Sonic cycle would be the comics. Now, when it came to the comics, I expected them to reboot it. I didn't expect a continuation of Archie. I didn't expect anything like that. I was still disappointed at the end of the day. But I think the reason why a lot of people like Richard Kuda were really angry is because when they heard that Ian Flynn was going on to the comic, and they heard that the comic is getting picked up by IDW, everyone just assumed that the Archie characters would transfer over. And people did make speculation videos. There were speculations about, will they continue the Archie run? Will they reboot Archie? Will the characters continue to stay? Will they release the Archie issues that weren't published yet? Would they republish old Archie comics? There was a lot of people hyping up the IDW comics, and then when it was just Sonic and friends destroy robots in a mundane setting, I think it did really disappoint people. And it would have been better to go into it expecting its own thing, rather than hyping it up to be as good as the other comics. How do you feel about the comics?
I haven't read them in years. In terms of the Sonic cycle, I was excited and was disappointed, but I don't know. They don't seem to be like as mainstream or as like massive as the games or the film.
Very true. How do you feel, Danny?
I'd agree with Dumbsville, but I do think, like, when the IDW run first started, they definitely were hyped up, because I think people were excited to see that, because Archie had ended, and people thought that was the end for Sonic comics. So to see a new Sonic comic with familiar writers and artists on the scene, people were like, oh, high expectations, you know? But then it just, I don't know, I guess people got bored very quickly of them, and now they've just... I mean, people still like them, but I can tell that there's not as much hype around them now.
No, especially with the current arc. I really thought when they switched writers it would get better, but it hasn't. But that's a separate video for a separate day. I guess the main thing now would be to talk about the current Sonic cycles that are going on. Ooh. There is a Sonic cycle going on for the next game. And people have been, like, there's a whole bunch if you think the Sonic cycle exists. There's people hyping up the Adventure remakes. and doing hundreds of clickbait videos on them. There's people hyping up the Sonic Colors remake that might happen and doing tons of clickbait videos on them. There's people hyping up the Sonic Movie 2 right now. There's a ton of speculation and everything about these products, and people are really hyped about all three of them, despite
Sonic
two of them not even being confirmed to exist.
I was just going to say Sonic Prime.
Oh yeah, Sonic Prime too, but we've gotten so little with that there isn't a Sonic cycle forming.
Gotten so little, but people have like really gone like out of their way to try and figure out what's going to happen, even though all we have is literally a logo.
I know some people have been hyping up saying that Prime Mobius, it'll be Archie, but I haven't seen enough to really get worried about it. What I'm worried about are the amount of videos being made on Sonic Colors, Sonic Adventure remakes, the Sonic Movie 2 shit. There's hundreds of videos being made about these subjects, tons of articles being made, and we haven't even gotten confirmation, like legit confirmation, for the Adventure remake, or the Colors remake, or remaster, or whatever they're gonna do. And people are making tons of videos saying, this is how it will be like, this is how I want it to be like, this is how it should be. And this just sets up goals that are impossible to achieve. The reality of it is, if we get a Sonic Colors remaster, it's just going to be the Wii game upscaled. And people are going to be fucking disappointed like they were with the Mario 3D collection. Or like how people are going to be with the Zelda upscaling game. It doesn't matter what you add to it, it's just a port. And there's no reason to hype up a port. Just buy the port when it comes out. You shouldn't expect anything grand from it. It's literally a 10, 20-year-old game. I don't know why people are hyping up Sonic Adventure 1 and fucking Sonic Colors. And the Sonic Adventure 1 that everyone is teasing, everyone is talking about, it was confirmed to be cancelled. And people are still speculating that they're going to release it anyway. So how do you guys feel about those three?
I think we talked earlier. I don't necessarily have, as a content creator myself, and as someone who is friends with a lot of people on multiple ends, I don't necessarily have too much of a problem with a lot of videos on the subject. Like, you got to get that bread somehow. And I don't mind speculation. I do think people should clarify more. This is just what I would like to see, and not like what will be in the series. But I do think that there is some very unreasonable hype rather than sticking to the facts. Like, I do think that the adventure remakes, those most likely aren't happening because they've already been canceled. Colors, I am excited for the Colors remaster, but more because I want to see more Sonic games on PC rather than Sonic Colors will be fixed or anything. But that's I do think that I'm kind of mixed on it. I'm kind of on both ends. That's my thoughts on it.
Okay, what about you, Danny?
Well, for me, I think when it comes to adventure, that's going to be something people are going to talk about all the time. Like, even if it was confirmed, not confirmed, cancelled, people will always try and speculate that Adventure's being remastered. People did that with Forces. They speculated that was going to be Adventure, but newer.
Oh, Adventure 3 is the biggest one that everyone's been trying to hype up. They're like, is this Adventure 3? Is this secretly Adventure 3?
They've been doing it since Heroes, though, so those guys aren't going to go away. They ain't going to leave.
Oh, no, they're never going to leave.
Okay, guys, hear me out. Hear me out. Sonic Adventure Alex.
but like, back to what I was saying though, the adventure hype doesn't bother me because it's been happening so much that I don't care anymore. And people can just do what they want. They're beating a dead horse, in my opinion. But then with Colors, that was a weird one because I saw people react to that leak and be like, "Oh, why Colors? This is weird." But then, like, 2 days later, they're like, "Okay, guys, so Colors is going to be a masterpiece." And I'm like, "Hang on, what?"
That's literally how discussion went. It went from people saying, "I don't care about Colors, give me Generations," to, "Oh man, Colors is going to be amazing."
Well, people were saying that Colors is only 10 years old. Why would it be this one of all games? And then they're like, oh man, Colors is going to be great in 4K. And I'm like, oh, okay, you guys are weird. And then
it's only been on Wii. I think it's important because it's being ported to PC and console.
If I can call out one person in particular, fucking Gamer Guide. Gamer Guide speculated not only would we get Sonic Colors Wii, it would be a combination of Wii and DS, completely remade from the ground up, incorporating assets from both. That is the craziest, fucking stupidest thing I've ever heard. That they would take two versions of a game that are completely different and for different platforms that have completely different plots and mash them together for 5 Sonic fans who are going to buy it. That's an insane level of speculation, and it's this type of shit that gets people way too hyped up, because now when they go into it, some people are going to be like, oh man, I really hope it's like what Gamer Guide said. I hope I get 2 games in one. Imagine if Sonic Generations got ported and people expected it to be both the 3DS game and the fucking Xbox game.
Oh, I don't know.
That's insane expectations, and that's really how I feel like I'm going to end this with my final thoughts, is go into things with realistic expectations. It's fine to speculate to yourself, but if you whore out to your audience and make 10 videos talking about one subject, it seems like you're overdoing it, and it seems like you're just hyping people up to be disappointed. I get that you want to follow the news, but not everything is news. Not every single leak is worth making an entire video on. Not every single little fucking detail is worth a whole 10-minute video. I get that you need to make the money. I get that you want to make the money. But at the end of the day, you're part of the problem, and I can't fucking support that type of content. It's not only lazy, but it's actively harmful to the end product, in my opinion. And that's my final thoughts on it. The Sonic Cycle, in my opinion, the Sonic Cycle definitely does exist. But I don't think that means that the game will be shit. It just means people are always going to be disappointed. They're always going to expect more than they will get.
Can I just say, because I was going to say this before, but I was going to say I think the biggest hit we're going to get from the Sonic Cycle is going to be the Sonic movie 2. I think people are hyping that up way more than they should.
Well, yeah, now they know Knuckles is going to be in it, because people have fucking leaked that shit to the internet, because they're on set. And we might do another club spin on that in a week or two, where we talk about people going on set, taking photos of the Sonic movie shit, and then leaking it to Twitter and selling it. Like, that shit's fucked.
Well, I've already seen people have already been doing, artist interpretations of other characters they want to see now that they've seen Knuckles.
And people speculated Shadow's gonna be in because of the helicopter. It said SA1 or SA2.
Yeah.
The speculation's insane on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's just Knuckles, people are gonna be like, oh man, I wanted Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
But what are your final thoughts, Danny?
I think my final thoughts are I'm now scared. I'm scared because I know for a fact, with Sonic Colors and the other one, Adventure, I don't really care what people react to with those, if they get released or whatever. But I'm scared about the Sonic movie too, because people are definitely overhyping it, and I'm scared that I'm going to see Twitter one day and it's going to be, oh man, I saw Sonic 2 at the cinema and it was crap. Woohoo.
Okay, Donesville, how do you feel about the Sonic Cycle? Final thoughts?
I mean, I'm in a unique position. Once again, I've kind of grown more lenient on I guess, clickbaity topics. But I do think that people should be more honest and realistic. I think the Gamer Guide thing is ridiculous with the whole, it'll be the DS storyline. That is ridiculous. There's no way they could put that much effort into a PC port. I think people should be more excited that Sonic games are coming to a different platform, rather than create this artificial hype. Just be more honest, I guess. But at the same, I don't mind speculation. I don't mind saying this is what I want to see. I just wish people would be a bit more clear on this is not what will happen. This is just me speculating.
Yeah.
Like what Tyler McVicker does. You ever seen his videos?
No.
Where he has like, he used to do Valve News Network. Now he does sort of everything. Whenever he does speculation, he puts a little icon on the screen that says speculation, and that kind of gives you clarity.
I have noticed that some people are starting to use speculation, but what they'll do is they'll make their title so long, and then they'll put speculation at the end, or they'll go full Leafy and start saying, "This is just my speculation," but you're still clickbaiting. You're still fucking clickbaiting. You're still doing the shit that was the problem, but now you're just fucking using speculation as a cop-out instead of owning up to you being a clickbaiting piece of shit. So I think the speculation is good in theory, but I feel like it's just another tool for people to abuse.
I think once again people should go more in that I guess Tyler McVicker direction, where it's like I don't once again I'm still kind of mixed on clickbait and a bit more lenient, because I think YouTube's algorithm is dog shit and hard, so I don't want to say I blame people for clickbaiting because of just how YouTube works, but I'm also kind of like, once again, I wish people would go more in that direction of being more clear that this is speculation.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I would say the Sonic cycle does exist, but I would say that it doesn't necessarily impact the final product. It just impacts people's perception of it. Do you think the Sonic cycle exists, Danny?
Yes.
Okay, Dumbsville, do you think the Sonic cycle exists?
In the same way that the cycle for any other company exists, sure.
Okay. That was a fun discussion. I feel like I've gotten everything out of my system on this subject, and I feel like we can end it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed recording this with me, and hopefully you guys enjoyed watching. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you really like it, share it, and if you want to see more, then subscribe.